So obviously things are still in flux, but you get a few more guys on the ice. You know, any coach would be going through this. What is it like kind of being the new coach, instilling a new, well, I guess you've had a few, most of them, but still instilling a new system, and yet kind of having the roster, revolving like this?
You know what, I think it's been okay. That's kind of the nice part about our group here is there's a lot of new faces, staff included, and I think that brings some freshness to the organization. And I think the players probably appreciate it as well. It's something new. They've been taught very well in previous seasons by their head coach in Abbotsford. But whenever there's a change, I think there's some new light because there's some fresh ideas or we do things a little differently, and I think players enjoy that. So it hasn't been bad at all yet.
What would you like this roster to look like? How many players will you ideally have, come the end of everything?
Well, a lot of that's going to be decisions that will be made in Calgary as to who's going to be here and the number of guys that they want to have around. And a lot of that, again, gets determined by the injuries that are in Calgary and the injuries that we happen to have here. So, if we ended up with 5 lines of forwards, I think that's pretty good, and 8 defensemen or so, I think that's pretty good as well. But again, things change in a hurry with call-ups and injuries in both places.
You have 3 goalies now. I assume you're going to want the traditional 2. 3 gets crowded.
Yeah, it's tough. They're all good quality goaltenders, but when you get into the regular season, you want 2 guys because they need to have the bulk of the work. I think that's, if you were to ask goalies, they want to be in the net all the time. They don't want to be sharing it. So we won't be any different this year with the number of goaltenders we'll have.
What do you want to get out of this, start to training camp again? I know you had a few weeks with most of them, but, what is the main goal out of the beginning of your time as this team?
Well, we want to try to instill in the players what we're looking for on a daily basis. So there's some things that we have to try to change. We want them to learn how to play the game up tempo and with as much pace as possible. And our plan is to try to wear teams down over the course of the game. So we need to learn to do things fast when we're on the ice in practice. That includes learning how to break out properly. That includes or encompasses a lot of different things. So there's some habits that we're going to work with our players to try to make sure they're doing a good job, and those are the things that we'll focus on early in the season and our exhibition games.
You don't go to the board that much. Is that something you've always done? It seems you must talk drills before you get on the ice, I assume?
Right now I am. I think we use a lot of drills that will be familiar to them after a while, so once they see a drill, we'll go back to it a fair amount so they'll have an idea of what we're doing. Going to the board for us slows things down a little bit. We want to try to keep the tempo up as much as possible, so we expect our players to know what's coming next and to be ready to go.
Coach, David Wolf seems to be making a nice transition to this smaller ice surface. What are your thoughts after seeing him play here for a couple days now?
He's a very hard-working guy, and I think with David, there's challenges that all players face when they're coming into a new city, but he's got it double with the fact he's playing on a small ice surface now. He's come from Germany, so he's learning new cultures, new languages for that matter, and new systems. So he's getting hit with a lot of things right now, and I think he's handled himself really well. So on the ice, he's got the work ethic and the compete down. Now it's just a matter of him slowing himself down a bit so he can execute properly in regards to what we're asking him to do.
Do you think, judging by his penalty minutes and knowing that how the style is played over there, do you think that physicalness will translate well here?
That's his style. He's an up and down winger. He's going to go to the net hard. He's going to finish his checks. But I think sometimes when you look at penalty minute totals from Europe, they're a little bit misleading. And I think David would probably attest to it as well. But sometimes if you hit somebody hard, you're going to get 5 minutes or 10 minutes or significantly more minutes than you would over here. So I think that might be skewed a little bit, but his style is to be an up and down winger. He's going to be physical, he's going to go to the net hard, and then from there he's going to be able to allow his skills to help him generate when he is in the offensive zone.
What kind of feedback do you get from the guys? They've been here just a few days, but just about the area, about the city. There's a lot of excitement surrounding this new team here.
Well, they feel it for sure. There's no doubt. I asked the guys where they go for dinner, of course, or coffee in the morning, and they've already got their favorite spots. So there's been a lot of guys that have enjoyed their first couple of days here, and I think once they get settled and find places to live, I think they're going to enjoy it. It's got that homey feel to it, where guys are going to be comfortable sooner than later. I think they're going to really enjoy living here, and I think because of that, they're going to want to come to the rink every day to learn to work, and that's something that we're looking forward to.
Do you know if any of them are thinking about Saratoga as a place to live, or have they discovered it yet?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. All right. I know some of the guys in the past have lived down there.
I've heard that they have. It's a fairly long way to drive if you ask me in the winter time, but I know I'm assuming some of the players will probably look to that area for sure. But there's a lot of great areas around this neck of the woods too.
Now you mentioned you want to wear guys down. Who are going to be some of the more physical guys that you expect to be on the roster when the season opens? Are going to have that role?
Well, everybody has that role. So that to me is about skating and playing with pace. So everybody's expected to finish checks. Small guys, big guys, they're going to all have to learn how to finish checks or at least angle people off. And if you can do that for 60 minutes, you can wear a team down. So if you're relentless in the way you skate and the way you play, it kind of becomes contagious. So your bigger guys may start it, but everybody else needs to do the same thing.
Now, what's the main thing you're trying to get out of this weekend as far as preparing for the opener a week later?
Yeah, well, a lot of our guys, we want to see them in a game situation. That's number one. And then as we talked about earlier, we want to see the habits and see how they're trying to take some of the things that we've gone over in practice and apply them to a game situation. So that's really the main thing. We're not looking to pre-scout our opponent at all. It's more about focusing on what we're trying to do early.
So just remind me again, how many guys are here now? How many will there be on opening night?
25, we have 4. There's 29 guys here right now. Again, opening night's up in here. Earlier in the season, we'll carry more guys than we will as the season progresses, for sure. So we'll anticipate larger numbers to start the year, and then as we get going, it'll get smaller and smaller. Yeah.